Hi, welcome back to Layden's Olive. It's been a while since I did a video. I've been working off the homestead. I was raising a house for somebody and supporting the old foundation and the old floor joists that were in the older century home. So today I figured I'd do a quick video for you guys. This is probably one of the healthiest things that you can eat to support gut health. It's really good for you, and it's a very, very, very simple thing to make, and that's sauerkraut. The sauerkraut is basically fermented cabbage. Now, the reason you should do it at home and do it yourself, for one reason, it's very simple to do and it's very healthy. The other reason is if you buy sauerkraut in a grocery store or any place like that, they use vinegar. So it's not really sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is cabbage, salt only. It's very high in certain acids. It's very high in vitamin C. It's up there at the very top of anything that you could eat to get your vitamin C is sauerkraut. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to show you guys how I do it. It's very simple. It doesn't get any easier than this. I have my scale. I'll let it go to grams. I need to weigh my cabbage. This way it gives me the right amount of salt that I will add. Okay, so this has got 1,836 grams. So what I have to do is I need 0.025 grams for this. For every gram I need 0.25. So at this one I need, my math, 46 grams of salt. And what I'm actually going to use is I'm just going to use pickling salt, because you can't use regular table salt because it has iodine in it. So yeah, I need 46 grams of salt. Oops, just a little bit too much salt. Just a little bit of salt. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut our cabbage. We're going to split it into 4 quarters. Now you got to make sure you take off the bad leaves that are on the outside. Sometimes cabbages have some bad leaves. You could get some mold or anything on the outside. Like this one has a little bit there. So I'm just going to get rid of that leaf. Now we also cut out the core. I just quarter it and then I can just cut the core out, really simple. So we'll cut out all the core. Now some people like to use a mandolin to do these type of things. I don't bother with that. I'd like mine to be a little bit on the bigger side. I don't like it mushy. I like to have a little bit of a crunch to my sauerkraut. So all I do is I take my knife. This is a pretty sharp knife. And I just slice it down. Mine is about 1/4 inch thick, maybe a little bit more, but we try to keep it all the same so that it absorbs the salt at the same rate. I mean, if it's a little bit different, it's not the end of the world. Break it all apart first, kind of breaking it up as I'm putting in there. I'm going to spread a little bit of salt. A little bit as I go along for each piece. Now this may look like a lot of sauerkraut when we're doing this in this bowl, but by the time we're done, it won't be that much. Because cabbage is a good part water. Okay, so now what we're trying to do when we're massaging it in, we're trying to get the salt to go into the cabbage as much as possible. Now we're going to do this 3 or 4 times over the next couple of hours. Now you can actually, or I can actually see, I don't know how well you guys can see it in the camera, but you can see there's a lot of moisture building up on the cabbage already. That shows that the salt is actually doing its job and drawing the moisture out of the cabbage. Because we need to get a good amount of brine once we put this into a jar. We want to get the bottom. I want to kind of flip it around so we got the stuff that's on the bottom come to the top. Now the thing is, once the brine starts to go through, it will put the salt through all of the cabbage. So you don't have to worry about getting salt on every single piece of cabbage in here. It'll do that once the brine starts, which is exactly what it's doing now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that sit for about an hour, or half an hour or so. Then I'll come back and massage it again. So yeah, this is the 3rd time massaging the cabbage now with the salt. And the salt's really created quite a bit of brine now. So now we're pretty well ready to put it in a jar and let it ferment for about 10 to 12 days before it's ready. So I'll show you just how much brine there is in this already. You can see it right down in here. You can see it down in the bottom. That's the brine. So what we're going to do, I'll wipe my hands off with a towel. So this is the jar that I'm going to use. Now you notice it has a rubber ring around it. I have to take that ring off, because anything that you ferment creates a gas, and if it's sealed tight, it could actually explode. I don't know about explode, but it could pop the lid off and make a mess. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to use this glass jar, and I'm going to put my glass lid on the top, so it's not tight or airtight, and what it will do is it will let the gases escape. So, let's see how much of this we can get in there. I think it'll all fit. Now I need to get this pushed down hard enough so that all the brine is covering all of the cabbage that's in here. Brine is covering pretty well all of the cabbage, but what I'm actually going to do, I have a few of these weights, glass weights, that I keep around for this purpose. I'm just going to put them in here to try and make sure it doesn't float to the top. And that's pretty much the recipe. And it'll stay in this one for about, like I said before, 10 to 12 days. So yeah, and the other thing is once it's done fermenting, I will take it out of here and I'll put it in one of these mason jars. I'll probably end up using 2 of these, but what I use when I do this is when I put it in the fridge, it slows the fermenting down quite a bit, so it doesn't get, the longer you keep sauerkraut, the more sour it becomes. But at like 10 to 12 days, it's perfect for me. That's when I like it the most. It has a bit of a kick to it, but it's not too strong. And once you put it in the fridge, it still ferments, but it's a very slow process. But it still gives off gas from the fermenting process. So what I have with this I call a burping bottle. I'm not sure what the proper name is, but that's just what I call it. It's just a gasket that goes in the top of the lid. There's a hole there. You put a rubber gasket in here. It can be a little bit of a pain to get in there, but see, the gasket's in. Now this is a vent. Now you take the top off. You can see there's like little tiny holes in this cap, which goes over top of this. And inside, there is a upside down cup that goes over top of that vent. Now how that works is when it's like that, you fill it halfway up with water on the inside. Then you put the cap back on. You put it back into here, which I call my burpee bottles. It goes in there, and now what it does is the gas can escape. It comes up through. Once it gets to the point it gets up to where it's high enough, the gas can escape out around the water, and it doesn't let any air back inside. So your sauerkraut don't dry out. That's why I use these things once my sauerkraut is done fermenting in the big jar that's left out on the counter. So yeah, that's pretty well hit. And you can see the moisture is all up above all of the cabbage that's inside. Now the thing with sauerkraut is if you get a little bit of mold or any discoloration on the top, it's not a big deal. You just take it out and discard it and it'll be fine. It does not hurt the sauerkraut. So yeah, that's pretty much sauerkraut. It's a very simple, easy recipe to do, and it's probably one of the healthiest things you can eat. It gives you, the fiber. It gives you lactic acid, which is really good for your gut microbiome. Anybody can do it. I mean, you can buy cabbage in a grocery store. Try to get organic if you can. When this one is done, we'll do another one because we'll be taking it out of my big container and, like I said, putting it in these jars, put it into the fridge. Maybe consider subscribing. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the video. And stay healthy, stay safe, stay strong, and thanks for watching.